Hi, I'm Debbie.
And I'm Jan.
Welcome to the Villages 365. This is the edition of February, Your Questions Answered. So what we do is we go through all of our videos and we pick out the questions that you guys have asked. So in case you're watching this like on television, you don't see all the chatter below. This gives you a hint as to what's going on, and maybe you can see what people are asking about here in the Villages. It's a little chilly today, if you can't tell, so not only the camera's putting 50 pounds on me, it's also my big fat sweatshirts.
Yeah.
it's chilly
clothes.
here.
I put a coat on because it is kind of cold.
It's chilly.
And we're in the lanai because both of us have a lot of tile in our house and it gets echoey in there and it's harder to hear. So
yeah. So
we're outside trying to stay warm.
Trying. So one of our first questions was on the video about tennis, and it was from RG Fan 12345. Is there anywhere nearby outside the Villages to play on red clay? So not really. The red clay, from what I understand, and I've actually been to the tennis facility down in Orlando several times, the USTA National Campus. I have not seen them for myself, but somebody did tell me somewhere in their like 100 courts, they have 4 red clay courts hidden somewhere. So that would be the only place that I would know of to check. Other than that, I don't know of any red clay around. We have Har-Tru here in the Villages. We have 10 Har-Tru courts, which are very nice. Those are the artificial clay, and they work really well on the body. But the red clay, I would check the USTA National Center and see if they have them there.
That's why she answered it, because she's the tennis pro. This one.
The video was Here Comes Ian. And it was from Amy Vaughn.
Okay.
Jan can't read my notes. She's not understanding my notes. No, that's okay.
Is that common everywhere in Florida, or are you in a particular area of the Villages that attracts birds? There are a lot of birds in Florida. I mean, a lot of wildlife, and there are a lot of birds in the Villages. I mean, there's a lot of sandhill cranes. Ducks, geese, and
we have a lot of eagles. I mean,
eagles,
I won't say a lot, but we've got a couple of eagles' nests, which is really cool.
Right. And the sandhill cranes are a lot of them on the golf courses because it's a nice area, and you can kind of tell who's feeding them because it's the bird herd. Kind of around that area.
I have to tell you, I don't know if I told you or not, but one day we were golfing Tierra, and this is no lie. It was like 5 o'clock, and the birds were lined up right at somebody's property line, and they were barking, honking, whatever you want to call it. That they make loud noises when they want to. And so I said, absolutely, somebody's feeding them there because it was like 5 o'clock, dinner, and they were screaming for the people in the house to come out and feed them. So
well, and I have seen them staring in a window, waiting for. But another thing is they will come and peck on your screens, and they will put a hole in it.
Oh yeah,
and technically it is against the law to feed the sandhill cranes. Or in the Villages, or in the paper, tell you don't feed the wildlife because then they get used to being fed, and then they can't fend for themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of. If you're a bird watcher, this is the place to be because there's like cool birds that obviously we didn't have in Iowa or you had in Illinois, but
I have a friend from Illinois that moved down here specifically because he's done a book on photographs of birds and stuff, and he actually moved down here for that purpose so that he could so it must be pretty good if somebody's like a professional photographer is coming down here for that purpose.
I do know there's a bird watching club.
There is,
because they're in the paper every once in a while, but it's very interesting. We had a book, but I gave it to a friend of mine because she's more into birds than I am.
So the next one was from our Halloween video, and it was Carmine M. Where would I get a copy of the deed restrictions for an area that I am interested in? So what we were talking about there was that there's rules and regulations in each neighborhood. So if you are thinking about moving to the Villages and you wanted, for example, you thought you wanted to put up a fence, or you thought you wanted yard ornaments. This is a big thing here.
Yard art.
Yard art or lawn ornaments and that. Or if you have 3 dogs and a horse, and you want to find out if you can bring all 3 dogs and a horse, stuff like that. So what you could do is talk to your realtor and tell them, I'm trying to, I'm interested in this house or in this area. They can pull up the decks and bylaws for you through the title company. Those are all recorded actually at the county that the property's in. And then you could read through them and see what the restrictions are, if there's anything that might affect you. So that's where you would get those. You can get them from the county. You could get them from a realtor. You can get them from a title company.
Right.
So,
and if you live here and you want to know what your deeds and restrictions are, and it's been so long since we bought our house, I don't even know if, I'm sure we had it in our packet.
yeah,
I don't
we
know.
definitely did, because that's
Yeah.
where I got my copy. So,
But you can get on districtgov.org and to obtain your copy of the deeds and restrictions. And then I think you select your county in which you live in, then the district in which you live in, and then the unit. And your unit is on your
Your
village's ID card.
but if you don't live here, you wouldn't
Right.
have, you wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't
yet,
have that
so,
information.
yeah.
But if you live here and you're like, do I have deeds and restrictions? In case you live here and are watching this. That's why I threw that in.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, that's good information, because a
Right.
lot of people don't even know that. So,
The next question is from Jara.
yeah, and it was off of the new residence. It was the one
Yes.
that those guys did for us.
And first when I saw this Jara, I thought it was my sister-in-law because her name is Janet Ray and she goes by J Ray. So I'm like, why is she asking questions? But it must not be her. Are there any house shares or room rentals here? I have heard rumors that some younger people are sharing a house, kind of like college houses on the historic side. I've not heard that rumor lately. And I also heard that like older ladies or older people would rent out a room to help with expenses to someone that works in the villages. Those are all rumors. And I don't know I'm sure it's possible.
Yes.
If you want to, but I don't think there's anything against it.
Yeah, that would be, and that would be up for the homeowner. So if you're talking about renting a room from someone, it would be up to the homeowner to figure out if they were violating anything. But
Right.
yeah, I will tell you, I don't think it's very common.
No.
Is kind of the bottom answer. So if you're thinking about renting a room or whatever, what I would suggest to you is you go on Talk of the Villages and see if anybody has anything advertised there. But I don't believe it's very common. So
Right. And you can also get on Talk of the Villages and ask that question.
yes.
And maybe someone does.
That was
But
looking for
yeah,
something,
I've only
so.
heard rumors. I didn't know if it's true or not. And of course, there's a rumors video also.
Yeah. And then off that same video, J Ray also said, can you go for lifestyle visits multiple times? I believe the answer to that is yes. I think you can go as many times. In fact, I know because we have some friends and they came down once a year, and it's not a bad way to find out. So if you don't know what the lifestyle visit is the Villages owns some properties that they have not yet released for sale, but they're done and they're built and they're furnished, and you can come down and you can rent for, I think it's 4 to 7 days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was about $100 a night last I
It's
saw.
it's $99
you've got
off
that.
season and up to $200 on the, I think it's the February and March are the highest
And the
months
prime
because that's the prime season, and it comes with a golf cart and bicycles now.
Mhm.
And in the olden days, I think you used to get tickets to the theater.
I think you
and-
get one activity to pick from, because my
Oh, do
friends
you?
that
Okay.
did, they had, you could golf, you could go play tennis, you could go to a show like Jan's saying. So you get to pick, I believe, one activity, and then they give you that. But the idea is to come down, and that's why they give you the golf cart and the bicycle. Live
Right.
like a villager, live like you would live if you lived here, and see what you think about it. And it gives you an opportunity. And the realtors, and I will say, overall, I've heard they're not super pushy, but they of course are.
They
Their
don't have
hope
to
is
be.
that
Yeah.
that's true too, is that you'll buy something while you're here. So the idea is, they hook you up with a realtor with your lifestyle visit and just say, hi, this is, Sally, she's your realtor. So and Sally will reach out to you, and then they'll say, do you want to go look at homes this weekend? And you can say, yeah, I'd like to go see the historic district. I'd like to go see Brownwood. I'd like to go see the, newest homes, whatever you have available. So, and they can take you around to those places. But if you don't, I think they also feel like you'll have your golf cart and your bicycle, go around and check it out
Yeah.
yourself and figure out if you like it and where you might like to be, because the areas are just so, in a way they're so similar, and in a way they're so different. So
And the stats used to be the average villager moves 3 times.
yes.
And on the line of the not pushy realtors, we had a friend that came down, and this has been, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. And we picked him up at the sales center. They gave him all his stuff and his keys. And then they said, if you want to see some houses, give me a call.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, what time would you like to go tomorrow? It was, if you want to see some houses.
Yep.
And so I mean,
and I do think that's pretty much the way they handle it.
And I was like surprised, because that's just,
well, because you think about those timeshare things, like, you can come, come to Mexico and you can stay for $100 a day, and then, but you need to spend 4 hours of your vacation in this thing, and we're going to hard sell you, and then we're going to get you the next day, and then
well,
so
and get mad at you when you say no. We did that once. Once.
But that's not at all what this lifestyle visit is. Truly, for you to come down and test it out and see what you think about the villages and the lifestyle here.
Yeah, and if your friends that came different years, then they would move them to, like these townhouses up here by the Spanish. That used to be where they put people, and then over there by the compound, area. That's where and they just keep moving it to as they build new, because they want to definitely push the new stuff.
Yeah,
so
that behooves them.
It is a smart way to do it.
Yep.
This is mine. Must know information, and J. Ray again.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to find a parking spot in a regular car? I would say around the squares, it's easier to get a parking spot with a cart, but they have a lot of behind parking. I mean, the only time that you won't find a parking spot is if there's something big going on, like a big parade or something. You might, one of the festivals, you might have to park a little ways away and walk. But other than that, I think they've done a really good job of having plenty of parking. Yeah. Sumter on a busy night seems to be a little harder because
they've only got the one, like by Barnes and Noble and that area.
So you're going to walk a little bit, but you can find a spot.
Not too bad. Off of the must know information, also, Lisa Sindoni Liberio. Did you two know each other before you moved to the villages, or did you become friends after you moved there? We became friends after we moved here. We were set up so when you golf, like if you, obviously most golf courses do it this way, there's foursomes. So if you put in your tee time and you just put in, like my husband and I put in that we wanted to play golf at such and such time at such and such course. It was over at Lopez. And it just so happened that these two came tootling up probably at the last minute.
I think we were late because my husband makes us late all the time.
He's got beautiful hair though.
Yes.
So he's got to get it groomed properly.
He's got a coif.
So, but so then, typically what happens, I mean, it's usually like, hi, I'm Debbie, I'm Jan, da-da-da. You can do the niceties. So where are you guys from? So how long have you been here? How'd you hear about the villages? Like those are really, and that's the one thing about this place too. It's good opening lines because if you're trying to get to talk to somebody, you're not like, I
always say,
and you find out what they did in their old life and whatever. So gives you some general conversation, which is nice. And anyway, and we had a good time golfing, and then we stayed for a drink afterward at Lopez and I think we went to the pool bar.
Then we exchanged names. Yep. Some people may have cards made up.
They do.
And you pass, it's like a business card, but only
they call them their calling cards. I have a calling card. Yeah. People did get mad at me when we first moved here, and they're like, do you have a card? And I'm like, what? And they're like, a calling card? I'm like, no. And they got upset. Like, everybody has to have one. I'm like,
I think we made some up, but I don't know if we ever really gave them out. But and then I think I got a text from you or something a week later asking, you want to golf again? And so then we see each other quite a bit.
And we vacationed together quite a few times.
Took a cruise together and camped together. And so, we become fast friends.
So see, you can meet people, old dogs, new tricks.
There you go. Same video, the must know information from Tom Ferguson. Where do you get the Newcomers book? The Newcomers book is put out by the Daily Sun, which is the newspaper here, and I imagine they would have
Extra copies.
extra copies.
Possibly,
So
yeah.
you can contact the Daily Sun, and if you're here and you want to see it, or if you want them to mail it to you, I don't know if they do that, but just contact them and see if they have any left over. They come out once a year.
I think they only come out once a year,
Yeah.
and I think that was in the fall sometime, if I
Yeah.
remember right. That video was done,
Mhm.
in and we did do that video pretty much
Yeah.
right when it came out, so maybe Octoberish or something,
Yeah.
September, October.
Yeah, but there is a lot of good information in there. So I know I think we did 2 parts, didn't we?
We did,
Yeah,
because there
'cause
was
there's
so
so
much
much.
information, and we even find things interesting that
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we learned. So yeah, it was
I'm
good.
clueless.
So on the video, which was part 2, everything to know about the villages, J. Ray asked, will there be new apartments in the villages? So yes, there will. Currently there are apartments down, so if you're talking about actually in the villages, there are apartments down in Brownwood. Those viewer told us that there's a 2-year waiting list for, so that would be that scenario. The others are coming to Sumter and to Spanish. However, they are not,
They are not
I
started
don't even think
yet.
they're even started. Yeah, they're
Uh-uh.
so that's a ways down the pipe. If you want to live outside the villages, there are apartments going up everywhere because this is becoming a very popular area, and they're starting to realize too, the younger people are starting to realize that there's a lot of employment opportunities here. You think about all the construction stuff, that's usually probably younger humans doing that, I would
Right.
assume. And so, they don't want to have to drive from Gainesville or Ocala
No.
all the way down. And now they're putting up apartments around this area so that it makes it a little easier for the people who are working here. So there are definitely apartments around the villages, inside the villages, only Brownwood. Tough to get in right at this point. So
Yep. And they're
that's
putting
the
that new
current situation.
facility up on 466 in Buena Vista, and that's supposed to be is that an apartment or condos? Or
At 466 in Buena Vista. I'm trying to think. There's the
Right.
Sprouts is going there.
No, across the way. I mean, it's big. It's behind Siebert's building. It's been it's
that
under
over there.
construction.
Yeah, that's that is those are apartments.
Yeah.
And that's not Villages
I
property
know
though.
it's
So
not.
yeah.
It's a piece of land that was in the villages, but I mean, you're not going to be able to have golf cart
access
or be with the amenities or whatever, but you can enjoy
the public entertainment and stuff.
Yeah.
The public amenities that we have here. So yeah.
All right, let's see. That's the same thing of the Everything You Can Know from Tina Hill Productions. Are there any spin classes in the villages? And yes, but it's the 2 health clubs. It used to be MVP, now it's Genesis Health Club. And there's a lot of, my husband goes up there every day. He's a gym rat. And there's a lot of spin classes there, but I don't know of anything that's the villages that they put in a rec center at all. I mean,
I don't
takes up a whole room and a lot of equipment. But if you are a senior and you have a certain Part B or whatever health plan, a lot of they call it silver sneakers.
Yeah.
Call it silver sneakers, and you can join free. And the classes are free at Genesis as a member. So if you're really into spin, or you can ride a bike out here almost all year and fall over. So,
and a lot of people I see when we're golfing have them out on their lanais. And so I think they just sit out and watch whatever's going on in their backyard while they spin. So,
which is kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
Entertain
Be
at
a
the
good
same
view.
time.
This is also from Everything to Know. We actually just answered this. No Trust the Left asked, where do we get that book? So again, that would be from the Daily Sun. So
you can go ahead and do the next one. That was a shorty.
And then in the November version of your questions answered, Matthew Murray asked, are the pools open year round? Yes, they are, and they're heated. And
very heated.
Yeah.
Nice and warm.
So, yep. And there's a lot of pools. I don't even know. I would have to pull, but I think we're around 100 or so.
There's
pools.
a lot of pools.
So, yeah, there definitely be a place to go. They are open year round and they are heated, and I would not be caught dead at one today.
No. Well, it's fine if you stay in it. But you
got to get out eventually.
But there's sports pools, and then there's family pools, and then over 30 pools if you like your quiet time. So yeah, it's a great great thing here. He also asked, what is the best place to find home rentals? So the Villages, of course, has their own vacation rentals. Right now there's VRBOs or Verbos, however you want to say that. You can find rentals on Zillow, ourvillagesrental.com, Villagers Homestyle. So if you just get online, there's quite a few. And then homeowners, I mean, they will advertise them too. You know, just in fact, if once you get a renter and they come back every year, you almost don't have to
Advertising more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the same one with it. We had when
Yeah.
we had ours rented out, they'd have rolling deposits. They'd just say, keep the deposit. We're coming back next February or whatever. And so that was kind of
and
nice.
especially during this time
Mhm.
of January, February, March, April, it's really hard to get a rental because once somebody latches onto that, they just keep
Mhm.
renting from the same person. So I would,
They
if
like your
you're
location.
serious about renting, I would start now for next year
Yeah, exactly.
or off season. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, if you just want to try out the Villages
Yeah.
and check it out.
Yeah.
So, off the same video, Kay Ling asked, "Is the Turnpike the most direct to Orlando Airport, and how much would the tolls be on the Turnpike one way?" So, yes, it is the most direct.
I don't even know how you would get there with all those swamps and stuff. It would take you forever.
It would take you forever, and some depending on where you live in the Villages, like some of it. In fact, even as far north as we are, it sometimes would get us off at 27 and have us come all the way up from Claremont up 27. I vote no for that. I take the Turnpike all the way up to 301 and just get off.
But you go through another toll booth with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was worth it to me because a lot of 27 is 35 miles an hour. I'm like, I don't get how that's faster. So
No, and we only use that if it's late at night or early in the morning because you can kind of buzz through that. But any other time, it's too busy. And I actually got on SunPass. It's cheaper to have a SunPass. It's a little thing you put on your car, and you put money on sunpass.com, and every time you go through, it gets hit. And now they're setting up all the toll places to be they catch your license plate
Bill
and
by
then they
plate,
bill
yeah.
you. And I got on the turnpikeinfo.com, and I could put in where I'm
all your stops.
starting from and where I'm finishing. And I did it from 301 to the airport, and it was 374 with SunPass and 427 with cash. And then the US 27 that you were talking about, which is a hassle. With the SunPass, it's $2.14, or cash is $2.66.
And I do think, if I'm not mistaken, when I think when I answered the question back when we put the video out, the prices were a little bit higher because I think our governor just recently lowered the prices of the tolls.
Oh.
So if you see something different below, which you might, because I want to say it totaled about $7 or $8 at the time. And because I went to the same website.
Oh, really?
And so I think that our
Tolls
tolls
have gone
down.
Because you do, and they've put in some new highways and new toll things. So if you're going around Orlando, you're going to be hitting some tolls. But yeah, because I was kind of surprised at that price, and I don't think SunPass. I could have gone on my SunPass, but I don't know how much history they keep.
Yeah.
With that.
But that, and just so you know, 2K, if you are driving, renting a car there and driving, obviously you're going to do that. But if you are deciding on where you want to rent your car, you can take a shuttle. And the shuttle, so kind of what we think about is between the gas and the tolls. So if it's just one of us going to the airport, we will throw the other person on the shuttle and send them by themselves because it's like
cheaper.
20, what is it, 25, maybe $30 now? I don't know. It's been a while since we've done it.
It's 40, I think.
Is it 40? Okay.
The last time we took it, but it could be more now with gas.
Even if you figure $40, so for somebody to not have to spend an hour and a half drive, well, three hours when you go up and back. So it saves that. You've got your tolls and you've got your gas price. And so you figure by the time you do all that, we just figure if it's one of us, but if it's two of us going, now we're looking at $80. And so, and each way, because then we got to get home. So now we're thinking about just parking our car at the airport or whatever. So depending on if you live here, if you don't, if you're just visiting and you're planning
Right.
on just for a visit, depends on what you want to do. If you don't, and sometimes the rental cars are more expensive at the airports
Mm-hmm.
than they are out in the area. So
Right.
you could take the shuttle, rent a car here, yada yada. So anyway,
Yep.
just some thoughts. Not exactly sure what your motivation, your thoughts were when you asked the question. So
Okay. The same video from Kip S. We would like to play a lot of golf on a visit in January. Any tips on making sure we get tee times? Well, I would assume if you're doing the lifestyle that they will give you an ID or
Mhm.
some kind of number, and then you're probably going to have to use the phone system, which I haven't used for years because I do it online, and I don't know if it's still as
It is.
frustrating.
It is, because
Yeah.
I've looked up there. I looked up so you can find in the Villages stuff exactly how to make a tee time. If you do how to make a tee time reservation, and there's long detailed instructions. Press 1 for this golf course. Press 2 for that golf course. Yeah.
Hopefully they will go over that with you. I've never done the lifestyle, but if you're renting and not doing a lifestyle, then you get their ID, but you're still going to have to use the phone system. And
unless you want to, so you can make reservations online if you subscribe to their internet service, and
Yeah.
you can do that by the month.
oh, really? I
So
didn't know
yeah,
that.
yep,
Oh,
you can do it for just a month. So last I checked, it was just you could do it for just a month. So, and it's cheap. It's like
yeah, $8.
yeah.
$8
And so
a
it
month.
would be well worth spending $8 if you were
Yes.
here for any period of time to be able to save yourself a lot of aggravation. Be able to
Because you're
save.
not, I will have to admit that I used to throw the phone every once in a while, because if you make a mistake, you have to start all over again.
Yes.
And I'm not a very patient person.
It's brutal. But
It-
that would be the best thing though, as far as making tee
Right.
times, is if you're able to get on the online system, that is the best way. And you can, so when you're actually making your tee time, there's 2 ways to do it. One is a request and the other is a reservation. So a request means that it's at least 4 days out.
Yes.
4 days out. And so if today's Saturday, so I can make a request for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the following week. So what I do is I go into the requests, I put in that I would like to play this golf course around this time, yada, yada. And with these people, you have to put in who's in your party. Okay, so a couple suggestions on that. When you guys are making a tee time, if you're making a request, especially during the busy time, don't put in one golf course and that you want to play, I want to play Lopez between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. Good luck to you, because it's got a system, and so it's got an algorithm. It knows how much golf you've played. There are different, you can have an enhanced membership. If you're not an enhanced member, you're getting second pick, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. So I'm just telling you, be open. And even we're both enhanced members. And even when I put us in for a tee time during this season, I put us in for at least 3 courses, and I give an hour and a half gap.
Yep.
And we should be getting first pick because we pay extra
For
money
that.
for that
Yeah.
privilege. And we still, I mean, we've not been turned down, but we don't
No.
even always get our first, or for me, I've noticed
Yes,
we don't even always get the first
choice.
pick.
Yeah.
And so, and some of it depends if we've played a lot of golf, or like if
You have
they have, or
points,
if
yeah.
we have, and we've got, then we kind of get less of a pick there. They don't let you be a tee time hog down here. So a request is one way. And so then what will happen is you put in your request, and then once that day opens up, it will show up in your system to tell you what course you're playing and what time you've gotten. The other way to do it is a reservation. So if today's Saturday, I can go in and see what tee times are available on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then I just know I'm playing this course, this time, boom, done. But if you are thinking about golfing during the height of the season, I would
Unused
suggest
tee times are hard to get.
they are. And
Yeah.
so, or they're going to be not very desirable. They will be
Right.
at 7:01 a.m. when there's frost on the ground, or they will be at the very last ones in the evening.
It'll
when
be
it's
dark
getting
when you're
dark.
done. Yeah.
So I would just recommend that you, first of all, use the automated system, the computer system if you can. Secondly, make a request early out. So
Right.
that's the best way to make
And
your
you
tee times.
can call the morning of
Mhm.
and see if there's any cancellations, or
Unused times.
unused tea times, and then you can, and you know, then be put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when you look for an unused tea time on the system, and there's just two of you, you can see once you get in there that there's a place for four people or a place for two people, and you know someone else is playing, and it'll show you if it's two females or a male and a female. So if you're a couple, then you might go, oh well, that's another couple, so we'll go play with them. Because during the busy season, also, if you're a twosome, you're going to be waiting a long time because it's just the courses are crowded and play isn't like it usually flows.
Right.
So
yeah,
just
so if you're a twosome trapped in between two foursomes,
yeah,
it's
that's a lot
day.
of information. It seems very confusing, but once you start using it, it's
it'll be
all
more
good.
clear.
But the phone thing, not my favorite.
Yeah. He also asked, will we need reservations at the restaurants and how far in advance? I'll say it depends on the restaurant, honestly, and what time you like to eat and all of that, and where the restaurant's located. The ones on the squares, of course, tend to be more busy. My husband doesn't like crowds, so he tends to want to eat early. Sometimes when we eat early, we end up meeting a bunch of other people that
like to eat early.
don't want to be involved in crowds. So anyway, I'm not sure there's a good time to eat. I would say that if you are concerned, if you know a day or two before, call the restaurant and try and make a reservation. I will say we went to Glenview just the other day and met friends. And so we sat on the patio. It was a nice day. We sat out on the patio and it was fine. Okay. But they must be short staffed because there were a million tables open, and they kind of gave my friend a hard time. She got there first and they were like, well, do you have a reservation? She said, well, no, do we need one? He says, well, we don't take them the day of anyway, but we'll see what we can do. And she said, well, we'll sit wherever you've got, inside, outside, it doesn't really matter. We sat outside and there were a million open tables, but he was giving her a hard time. So I don't know what that was about. So they could be short staffed, and I respect that if the restaurants don't seat everybody and then everybody gets awful service.
Well, along that line, there was 8 of us last week at Orange Blossom, and when we went to make a reservation, they couldn't take because they only had 3 servers. So then we went somewhere else. Now, we tried to make reservations at, where were we last night?
Mallory,
thank you. And there was only 4 of us, and they wouldn't take reservations for 4. So we had to wait.
Yeah, I think it depends on the restaurant. So what I would say is, if you know where you want to go, call a couple days before if you know your timing. The problem is sometimes we do these sort of things and it's like, you'll just, hey, we're not doing anything today. We're bored. It's too cold to golf. You guys want to go to dinner or something? Yeah. And so it's kind of a last minute thing. So in all of the country clubs, even though you would think they're all the Villages country clubs, so different restaurateurs are running them. And so some of them are the same, but so they all have different rules. So you can't even say like, well, if you go to a Villages country club, this is what you can expect, because you can expect different things from different places.
And I do think that Lopez will let you have 4, and maybe it's during the busy season that you now have to have 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
So like she said, just call. Just call. Let's see. This is from Kip also. What are your favorite golf courses, and how long does it take for an average round of golf? And of course, the average round of golf differs. I think when it's busy, but it's usually 4 hours and 10 minutes. I think
on the card, if you look at the card, I think each one is supposed to be done in about 2 hours and 5 or 2 hours and 10 minutes. So it should be under 4 hours and 20. Yeah. So, and what would you say your favorite course is?
That's really hard. I'm going to have to go with Lopez.
And this changes for me all the time, depending on the condition and all that stuff. I will say that I think recently Glenview's my favorite. Glenview's the longest course, so it's a challenge. Yeah, and it was
my second choice.
Yeah, and it was and I love Lopez too. But since you picked it, I didn't. But Lopez is almost always in good shape. They're also different though. Like Belglade is super wide open. not
lots of swamps.
lots of swamps. Evans Prairie's beautiful because of the swamps and
Yep,
stuff,
and
but
the
it's a lot of
gators.
times wet. And so
Yeah,
that one's a bad one to play. If it's going to be rainy, you
yeah.
want to stay away from there. So anyway,
It
they're
closes in the
all
summertime
beautiful.
sometimes, you know, the ones
Yeah,
down south, because there's
they
so
get
many
too wet.
ponds, and they get very swampy. But yeah, I mean, all of them are nice,
Yeah.
um, and it does depend on if they're working on it. They've punched the greens or whatever,
Hmm. And they
uh,
do advertise that, so you can find out if they,
yeah.
when they're aerating, when they're, um, what else do they put? Do they put out the when they sand? I guess when they sand them, when they're aerating them. Anyway, they do put out the aeration schedule, so you
Yes,
should, or
yeah,
aerification schedule, so you
yeah,
should be able to find that too.
yep. And
So
that's on the Golf Villages.
yeah,
So
website. So same video. Gary A asked, "Do either of you play tennis? Is there competitive opportunity to play USTA leagues?" I play tennis. Anyway, I play tennis. There's a lot of different ways to play tennis here. You can play on the hard courts. All of the hard courts are free at all of the rec centers. That's included with your amenities. That I would tell you, you want to check in the rec news to see like what levels it is, because they'll have like Sally's 3-0 group or something like that. So then you would know that that's a group I want to inquire, or that's a little above or below my level, so I'm not going to bother with that one. I would tell you, in my mind, the best way to get started here is to go up to Glenview. They will take your name and your phone number and your level, and they will try and connect you with groups. So that's how you kind of get in with the groups. And I will also tell you, it takes some time and patience to get in, because especially at this time of the season, because most everybody's here. And so what ends up happening is, if I've got a group that I put out 4 courts every week, right now it's probably full. So then they'll say, would you like to be on my sub list? Your answer should always be yes, because the worst thing that can happen is they ask you to sub and you say, I'm not available. But if you can sub, then you start getting in, you start knowing people. They also see that your level, a lot of people will come down and they'll say they're a certain level, and maybe they are back or wherever they've come from, but it's a different level down here. And so we like to try to make sure everybody is playing in the correct levels, because we want it to be fun and competitive for everybody. So that also helps you get in. And if you can kind of show that, yes, that you are in that group and that level, that's the best way to get in. And then you can kind of work your way around from there. Another way is to take a clinic with one of the pros there, and then they can also help you figure out where you should be, like, because the pros all know the different groups that play there. And so then they can kind of say, hey, you know what, here's this player, I had him in my clinic, he's a good player, he belongs in your group, can you get him in? And then they can kind of help you get into the right thing there. And the USTA leagues, for me, for my level of play, I play out of Ocala and Gainesville. But there are some teams out of the villages, again, depending on your level of play. And so those would be, you could inquire with the club, and they will put you in touch with the captains. You just need to let them know your USTA ranking, and they will put you in touch with the captains. And if that doesn't work, there are teams then out of Ocala, Sky, Harbor Hills, depending on the club. And so we can always try to get you. Tennis players all want to help tennis players play more tennis. So that's our goal there. So anyway, we can always give you a hand on finding your new home there.
all right, the last question was from the same video, Iron 12. Have you spent any time at Sawgrass, and how does that stack up as a square? Sawgrass is not a square. I think it's something that a new thing that they've tried.
Mm-hmm.
It has and we did a video on it, and it has a eating court inside, a restaurant right there, and then there's a box car with a small stage. I don't think they bring in the big bands, because there's not enough seating there. They have tables out there. It's very nice. It's more of a,
I think if you were going to equate it, it would be more like being at one of the country clubs outside when they have their music.
Yeah,
it's
like
very
Glenview.
similar to that. Yeah.
And I have not, we'll have to go down there while they're playing some music and kind of check that out. But we've been down there during the day a couple times. It's a nice area, and I think I think when they do that that new addition way down, and they're going to try to do another square.
That's what they say, that
Yeah.
there's going to be a fourth square. The Sawgrass, what I would tell you is that they have an indoor market. That's what we did
Yeah.
the video on.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple restaurants in there. It was
Mhm.
things like pizza, and I think there was like a tiny
Hamburgers.
bluefin, a little baby
Yeah.
bluefin or
Mhm.
something it was
Yep.
called. And there is a butcher shop there, which was not open when we were there, but I have seen that it is open now. And so that would be interesting to just go see that. They've
Right.
got a fresh market. It's also where you check in for the Southern Oaks golf course.
Yes.
The pro shop is in there.
And they have a bar in the middle with craft beer.
Yep, they have a bar, they have a coffee shop, I think ice
Mhm.
cream. So there's a small little market, you would call it, I guess. And then when you go outside, that's where you've got the outside
Right.
entertainment and the bar there. And then there's the McGrady's Pub.
Mhm.
We went there. The food
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah.
We kind of giggled though because we ordered the exact same beers that we had inside the market. We had
Or
those at the
more
restaurant,
expensive.
and they were $1 more. And it was the same beer, same size, everything. So just kind of interesting.
Well, and the cool
but-
thing they did do in the area where the entertainment is, they put some of the canvas things, so
Yeah,
there's some
the sun
shade, because
shades.
in the summertime
yeah,
at the squares, and they have put like little umbrellas up here, and they've done something over at Sumter. It's hot
yeah.
until that sun gets behind the buildings and the nice breeze comes up. But oh, there's no growling.
Must be lunch.
So yeah, I mean it's a cute area. I don't think it will hold a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
And there's not really shopping. I mean, when we're talking market, this
Yeah.
is mostly food stuff that
Yeah.
it's not like Sumter or Brownwood or whatever,
Right.
where there's little
Yeah.
tchotchke stores or clothing or jewelry or whatever.
Yeah.
So definitely,
it's very quaint.
yeah, it's just, it's different. So it's not a square. It
It's a new
doesn't have the same
concept,
thing.
and they're always trying new things, so it's
Yep.
it's well done, like usual. So,
Well, and like they've done the food trucks down there a lot, like
Yeah.
Edna's and things
Yeah.
like that. And so they've tried to do more of the things that the young hip kids are doing. So anyway, they are testing out different things,
Yes.
which is great.
Yep.
So
I think that's all the questions we had.
that is all
And
we've
we
got.
really appreciate those.
Yes, we do. So thank you so much for watching. Please please
yeah.
subscribe. We appreciate y'all. And keep sending your questions because
Mm-hmm.
we love to read them and share them with everybody else. We get a lot of positive things about,
Yeah.
I really like these videos about the questions. So,
Yeah.
So it's good. So thanks so much. Have a great day.